Well, AGL announced this week it is accelerating its exit out of coal, bringing forward the closure date of Victoria's biggest power station by 10 years. Joining me live is Chris Barfoot, Gippsland Climate Change Network Project Officer. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. How are you, Chris?
I'm great and lovely to be here, Joan.
And great to have you on board this afternoon here on Sky News. Now, you worked as a coal worker, including at Latrobe Valley for, I believe, 33 years, and you're a third-generation worker. How was this news received by you and your fellow colleagues?
Look, it hurts with something we've spent, our family put in 60 years. We've had 100 years of providing power to Victoria, and to see it coming to an end is definitely painful. There's no two ways about that. But we've got to take it on the chin. We've got to move on, and we've got to build a new system and move on with our lives.
And also, with the 10 years notice as opposed to places like Hazelwood, that was a lot sooner, more time to digest, I guess.
Absolutely. Hazelwood only gave us 5 months. And in 5 months, you don't have a chance to set yourself up. You don't have a chance to plan for retirement, and you don't have a chance to do learnings to try and build your skills to get out there and retrain yourself for the new opportunities. By having 5 to 10 years, 5 years was the minimum brought in under the Finkel Review, which was a real gift to any power station worker. To have 10 years, though, certainly makes a huge difference. It gives you that chance to plan ahead, gives you that chance to train, and it gives you a chance to seek other employment into the future. So a big gift for us, no doubt about that.
And a lot of us don't like change. It's a human nature thing. Some people love change, but it's inevitable. And what's that saying that you have? There is a saying that I believe that you have. What is it?
Standard part is that we always say there's two things people hate. It's how things are now, and they hate change. And we've got both. So we've just got to grin and bear it.
Well, that is exactly right. But, there are new jobs. Can existing jobs be transferable?
Actually, the vast majority of jobs are transferable. Any trade, any technical skill can convert directly across. There's only a very few ones of very specialist work. For example, operating a bucket wheel excavator. There are probably less than 10 of those left in Australia, so the chance of picking up a job in that field is much less. But for most people, you can actually retrain very easily or have a small amount of work on it, and you will find new work, particularly in the industries that are coming up in the offshore wind, in the solar, in the terms of the potential for hydrogen, and also just other forms of energy which are coming in, particularly the bioenergies and so forth. So there is still a lot of opportunity. For example, with Hazelwood, when we were about between 2 and 3 years out, 75% of people had actually been successful in picking up new employment. The downside we found has been that obviously when you work in a mine or you work in a power station, they're a very highly paid job. So when you're driving a truck in a mine, you get a very good wage, but when you come back and you start driving the school bus, obviously it drops off. So one of the impacts we do see in the community is a reduction in disposable income, which then has an effect in relation to businesses and expenditure in the region.
And I guess as well, Chris, there's been a lot of talk on how it's going to transition, how we're going to transition from coal to renewables, and how smoothly it will transfer, and the grid system, will it be ready in time? Will we reach our targets and so forth? With your expertise in the coal mining and with what you're doing now, what are your thoughts on this transition?
It is possible. The thing that is done is it has given us a finish line. So we know when we have to have this infrastructure in place now. And that's going to require us to accelerate a lot of the programs which are in there now. So, for example, Star of the South, which is a 2,000 megawatt offshore wind, is hoping to be completed within this decade, before 2030. But it's pushing us now that we would also need to push for either Sea Dragon or the BAS systems and so forth. We will need more generation. And the second part of that too that people don't often realise is we're not only replacing the generation we have, but as we start to move away from gas or we move to electric vehicles, we actually need more power than we have now as well.
Now, we know some of the main reasons why we're shutting down the coal mines, but what was the main reason that AGL decided to shut down 10 years early?
I would assume in terms of AGL, the main driver would be, of course, the need to decarbonise. But the second part of it that does exist is that those plants are getting old. A power station is usually designed for a 30-year life. I actually commissioned a part of Loy Yang in '84 with the first unit. So that means it has now hit or very close to hitting a 40-year life, and another, taking it to 2035, will take it out to over 50 years life. At that point, it's really gone beyond what we would have previously considered economic. Now, how it's surviving now, I am not employed in AGL. I don't understand its current status. But for example, at Hazelwood, we were at a stage there where the plant was deteriorating very, very rapidly. And so it was actually becoming not only difficult to operate, but it was also becoming uneconomic and unreliable. And those were the two things that pushed it over the edge, as well as the need for, in this case, for Orangey for meeting the Paris targets.
All right, well, we have to wrap it up there, but really appreciate you taking the time out on your weekend to give us your explanation and your expertise. Chris Barfoot, Gippsland Climate Change Network Project Officer. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Bye.